We have the fortune of getting the slot right after the lunch break. I hope you're not sleeping. We will change that. We will try to keep this as entertaining as possible. Some of you were there for the opening keynote and for some other sessions. I hope you've had a good session, a good range of sessions so far. In this panel, I'm delighted to introduce to you three panelists representing different industries. Today we will talk about customer journeys, consumer behavior, how it's changing, and also we will find out about the automobile industry, how it's disrupted at the moment. We have a lot of changes that are happening with Web3, utilizing AI, and complete new customer journeys. So we will find out from the experts that work on the ground with these technologies. So without further ado, I'd like to give the floor to my panelists, starting with Megumi right next to me. Megumi, welcome to our event. Please introduce yourself.
Yes. Hi,
It's good.
hi everybody. My name is Megumi Tsukada. I work for Autobiz. Autobiz is a company selling and buying used cars. So main market is Spain, France, and Italy. And so my job is innovation lab manager. So basically, we accelerate the innovation in the company.
Yeah.
So that's my job.
So
Great to be here.
you're taking the pulse of innovation within your industry. Yeah, that's very nice. Thanks for being here. And then we move on to Pia from the BMW group. Pia, welcome. You were part of my podcast in the past. It's nice to see you again. Thanks for being here. Yeah, tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, sure. And thanks for having me today. I enjoyed the panel and the podcast with you very much. Pia Schörner, working for BMW, which I assume everybody knows as a company. And I'm responsible or in charge of all the innovative topics in the central marketing, like Metaverse, gaming, experiential content creation, and totally into what's the way to go to make the brand future-proof.
Fantastic. And then we move to, last but not least, Marilyn Repp from the Handelsverband Deutschland, German Retail Association. Marilyn, please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much for inviting me to this panel. I'm so excited to be here. Massive event here. I'm impressed. So yeah, my name is Marilyn. I'm from the German Retail Federation, Handelsverband Deutschland. And 5 years ago, we built up a project. It's called Mittelstand-Digital, Zentrum, Handel. And we are supporting small and medium enterprises, mainly stationary retailers with digitizing their business models. And we support them with content, with webinars, podcasts too, and everything you could imagine. And I do have my own podcast too, which is called Zukunft des Einkaufens. Click in there. Which means the future of shopping, and I'm having interviews there with the female project innovators from the retail industry. And in the last couple of months and years, I was especially dealing with Metaverse, Web3 projects within the industry, blockchain and new consumer behaviors, and the Gen Z gaming, gamification. What does that mean for the retailers, the stationary retailers in focus? So I bring in this kind of industry. I don't have too much to do with the automotive industry, but I think we all have to deal with new customer and consumer behaviors. So I'm very pleased to be here.
Marilyn, I know that you don't have that much to do with the automobile industry. That's exactly the reason why I invited you to challenge us today on several things. So let's start with the, by the way, extremely nice podcast from Marilyn, Zukunft des Einkaufens, it's called. I would recommend everyone to check this out. Just a little drop there. Moving on to the first subject that I want to tackle with you guys. So this morning, we talked a lot about shifting consumer journeys. The market is changing. In the last 4 years, we've lived through many things, right? So there was the Corona crisis, there was inflation, there was the energy crisis. So where consumers are kind of feeling unsafe, not so sure about what's going on, a lot of uncertainties. And I want to know how individual industries have been affected. Like, let's start with some of you. I want to give the floor back to you, Marilyn, to give us some general insights from your perspective, because Handelsverband Deutschland, as you know, does the regular consumer barometer study, for example. I think you have great insights for us. Could you describe the last 18 months, how you see the consumer behavior changing? Where are we at the moment in e-commerce?
Yeah, so the Handelsverband Deutschland publishes a lot of content on that, as you know. So I'll give you just a short wrap up on what you said before, what things you mentioned in your opening speech. So who was there a couple of hours ago? That might be the same. So we're seeing right now that the consumer sentiment is stabilizing on a low level. It was lower before, but it's lower now than the pre-COVID level. And the high interest rates and the inflation, as you all know, burdened the retailers in 2023. But now we can be a little optimistic for 2024, what the consumer sentiment means. And the growth this year, the forecast is low, but it is growing a little bit for 2024. And what I think is most important is that the consumption habits are changing. They have been changing before too, but we're seeing generations like the Gen Z that consumes differently. They have more in focus fun and entertainment and what to do with their free time, and not only buying products anymore. And this is something that we see as a larger thing for e-commerce, but also retail. I think another trend that we see is secondhand. We have an expert on stage on that. I'm not so much into that issue, but secondhand is an evolving trend. And it's also an evolving trend as a gift trend, right? Pre-loved gifting becomes a trend. So I think there is much movement in this area. And another thing I would like to mention is I'm from the stationary retail, and we see a lot of movement there. Since 2020, 50,000 retailers in Germany closed their doors forever. And I think this is a process that is moving on. A chance for e-commerce, maybe, but not so good for my association. But we are like the best center to go and to get some information how to transform your business into the future. So that's maybe a short wrap up of the things you said before in your speech. That's where we are right now.
Yeah, sounds very interesting. Thank you for that. And one thing that I heard from your short introduction is also secondhand is kind of growing. So there more and more people are interested to buy secondhand, partially because of the price sensitivity. But then at that stage, I want to give the floor to we have Megumi here, who's dealing with secondhand car trade, right? So from autobiz. So Megumi, could you tell us a little bit about what you see? Maybe we start with what's happened in the last couple of years from your perspective, because I think that's going to be kind of different than the general perspective.
Yeah, so last couple months or years, so especially the big impact was COVID. So everybody was looking for a car, so people wanted to buy a new car, but it's just they couldn't get the car. So because of lack of the source, so our market was booming because they couldn't get new cars, so they are just coming to the old cars or used cars. Yeah. So they never noticed. But even before, already the used car market is slowly booming. The thing is, the new car price has been increasing almost every year. So the people cannot afford to buy new cars. So they start looking at, okay, so used car is also the good option. Yeah. So that's why our industry slowly, the volume itself is getting increased every year. Yeah.
So I take it that there are millions of people buying cars with augmented reality glasses right now, right? I mean, what is the biggest disruption you have? I know that we will be talking about Web3 and AI and all these things. Like, what is the thing that was the biggest disruption you see in your industry?
In our industry, so used car industries, as I said, it's quite old-fashioned. Like until 10 or 15 years ago, everything was on paper. So basically offline. So digital or online journey didn't exist. So like 10, 15 years ago, so some of the company came up and then, okay, so we can digitalize everything online.
Yeah.
And then we can purchase a car online. So slowly growing. And one of the things is like, so we also develop our service during Corona time. So you can sell your car at home. So you don't need to move. You just do everything on your phone.
Yeah.
And then someone come to your house and then pick up the car and then sell.
Yeah.
So that's a kind of the big disruption, especially in our company.
In many ways, I mean, it's hard to believe that the consumer that normally goes to Check24, it's the biggest insurance or like the marketplace for insurance and all kinds of things where you can book. It's hard to believe that the consumer that is used to this customer journey from Check24, Check24, and then that goes to buy a new car, they would expect a similar journey. You know what I mean? Don't you agree? I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that it was all based on paper before.
Let's say that there was a demand, but no companies developed that kind of service in the past. As I said, like 10, 15 years ago, slowly coming up, and then people pay attention to the used market. Okay, used car market looks more profitable. We can make money. And then the new companies comes and develop new products.
Yeah.
But as you said, so people didn't think, okay, we can do it everything online. You have to go to the shop and to buy or sell the car.
Well, the shops are closing. We just found out 50,000 of them.
Stationary retailers. I don't know what's going on in e-commerce. I think it's slightly better. It should be.
Yeah, let's move on to Pia. So Pia, tell us about, like, you represent, of course, the manufacturer's side. You're a marketing expert, you're a leader. I'm really curious about what's going on, what kind of projects you're leading right now, how you see the evolution of the customer journey from your perspective.
Yeah, so, you know, we are a traditional automotive brand, and our target group is getting older, to be honest. And so we need to think about how to come up with younger audiences, upcoming audiences. We already talked about Gen Z, and Gen Z is not very interested in brands. Gen Z has a passion point, number one, which is gaming. So we started to think about how can we contribute to a younger audience to make the brand future-proof, to meet younger groups on eye level. So we just did some deep dives into their spaces where they want to have us as a brand. So how can we enable younger target groups? And as the passion point number one is gaming, we started our approach in esports some years ago, just to understand their lingo, what they want from us, what we can do for them, how we can work with them, not to just bring a product into their lifestyle or just place a logo or stuff like that. And we learned that it's really important to enable their experiences. You know, Gen Z is like natural in digital environments. So,
yeah, for the audience, can you say what Gen Z, like what is the age group for Gen Z for those of us that might not know it?
Yeah, so we define Gen Z from 12 to 27 years old. It's from 1997 to 2010. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm no longer 12. So.
It's all good. It's not us anymore, to be honest. But yeah, so this is one of the most interesting target group for us because it's a high demographic, how do you call that?
Group.
Thank you so much, Marilyn.
I love the synergies here.
So these are the ones defining what we are doing right now. These are the ones defining that we're everything doing digital first.
Yeah.
These are the ones which define that we need to be on social media or stuff like that. And these are the ones who define that we are now in Web 2, which is the internet of people. You can do video calls, you can do chat, you can do like communication to each other. And now we are stepping into Web3 embodied internet, where you meet in a virtual room as an avatar. And it comes all from gaming, because the big gaming metaverses like Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft are the ones where you meet those guys and where you can learn from. And that's why we decided last year to step into Fortnite with the brand of BMW, which is like very special because this is not usual for a brand like BMW. And as we stepped into Fortnite, we really tried to understand how, because if you do it the wrong way, you won't get the reach of that audience. You really need to go into that game. So for those who do not know Fortnite, it's a classic fantasy ego shooter where you go into with your avatar, and the goal is that you will be the last one to survive, just for a simple, short explanation. And we decided to go in there delivering kind of mini games where you needed to collect single items to create your BMW. And we implemented a personal guide, a BMW guide called Julia. She's a non-playable character,
Julia?
and she's a truly BMW nerd. And she guides you as a gamer through the mini games. And in the end, you configured your own car. And we used that platform to launch a very first BMW in a game. It was the iX2. And then after configuration, you did a race with that car. And we had a great success on that because people were like 30 minutes in that game. So that means 30 minutes contact with our brand. And this is something what I really would like to emphasize, that this is something very of high interest for us, because getting young people in connect with a brand in a generation which is not interested in brands is something what I would call a success. And this is the way we want to further go to meet their expectations of maybe...
Yeah, this was my point, actually, that I want to ask you, because how do you define success, right? So for a company of the size of BMW, maybe you have the luxury to work towards the future. That's why this is called driving into the future. You know, you're kind of building the journeys that will be probably hitting the older target group in a couple of years, if at all. We don't know. So like you're primarily pushing the brand. And I think it's quite interesting because BMW is also a very iconic brand. There are communities out there of like a target group that is obsessed with this brand, but they're just much older. And then with the younger audience, do you imagine that they will, can you imagine like also generating high volumes of revenues with these people, or like what's the perspective?
That's a good question, because we are also looking into a future customer journey and maybe future business opportunities we can have on that. And I think besides a physical car, we also need to consider virtual goods. So imagine you can configure a virtual BMW in a BMW virtual space, take that car and take it into your gaming space or wherever you want.
Yeah.
And if you just consider that young people pay a lot of money to have limited edition of skins or to have special digital items, then you could also consider that this could be a revenue stream for us for the future.
I want to go back to Marilyn at this point. And like what's very interesting for me is to find out to what extent you think like that we will talk about Web3 also. We are at Web2 more or less. That when is the paradigm shift that will happen, and that the more of the masses will turn into these technologies? What needs to happen before we get there?
I think the metaverse is still a vision, like a future vision. We dealt a lot with that in the last couple of years because we had COVID, we had to stay at home at this time. And we all got more digital during this time. The customers and also the retailers and the markets, the behaviors got more digital. And I think it's going to take some time to enter the metaverse and to enter also Web3, which is a new stage of the internet, actually. It'll take some time. But still, we are seeing already that there are young generations like the Gen Z, that is very digital, that is used to maybe build up a wallet, that is used to know about technologies such as blockchain, for example. And these target groups, they're having a growing influence on the markets because they have more money when they grow older, and they will become the main target group of BMW or also of big retailers. And I think the most important thing to deal with these technologies or with emerging trends like the Metaverse or Web3 is testing, trial and error, and have an open mindset to try new technologies, to try new social media, to try new products, new assortments, and you have always to be on the run and try out something new. And this is actually what a lot of successful retailers are doing right now.
Yeah.
For example, the big ones, they really have to move around. They have to do something. Also because of something we didn't talk about today, staff shortage, which is one of the biggest pain points. I don't know, in e-commerce, I'm not within e-commerce, but I'm into stationary retail. This is one of the biggest pain points we're facing right now.
Yeah.
We're talking about AI that can help with this problem. But what big grocery retailers are doing right now, or what they did before, was they're going into this gaming target groups. They're building up new projects. For example, in Rewe is partnering with SK Gaming. You know, they're sponsoring gaming Mannschaften, teams, right? Aldi, for example, is very big into gaming. It's also, these projects are about employer branding.
Yeah.
It's about targeting young groups, the Gen Z that sees themselves as gamers. For 90%, if you ask Gen Z target groups, 90% of them will tell you that they consider themselves as gamers.
Yeah.
And this is crazy. So I'd like to tell now about another project from Kaufland. It's already 2 years ago. Kaufland built up an island in Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is an online video game where you can grow crops and you have like a little farm, or you can keep bees or something. I'm not into gaming, yeah, but it must be fun. So there was this Twitch streamer called Minimoli, and she was partnering with Kaufland, and Kaufland built up this island called Kauf Island. And they, this island had an inhabitant called Phil Leiter, which is like funny because it sounds like Filialleiter. Phil Leiter was the only inhabitant of the island.
Like a branch manager.
Yeah. Yeah, so you could walk around on the island, and there were several things to discover. And so Minimoli, the Twitch streamer, she's a big influencer. She has many followers, hundreds of thousands at Twitch and TikTok too. So she was walking around, showing her followers around on Kauf Island, and they were basically showing their sustainability measures in the company. Yeah. And I was asking myself, why are they doing that? Why is Kaufland building an island in Animal Crossing? And I think it's mainly because of for employer branding reasons. So I think in future, many projects are not only targeting future customers or consumer groups, but also you have to become a strong employer brand for your future employees. And they have, like the big grocery companies, they have a huge need of trainees, Azubis, and also employees. And you have to have a good brand, and gaming gives you a lot of possibilities and things to do something about that.
I think especially one reason I as a marketer, I think my suspicion is that at top of the mind marketing, like when people think of food, when people think of shopping for groceries, then they think of Rewe, for example, because they have had the experience. They were exposed to this experience, and they're looking at them much more favorably than Aldi or something else like that might not have had that. In your case, you mentioned Aldi also as an example. I think that's one reason why these companies are tapping into it. Similarly, maybe 5 years ago, my wife was making fun of me for being on TikTok. She's like, Efe, why are you on this platform with 14-year-old kids? I said, wait and see. You know, it will be everywhere. And then like now TikTok is one of the most downloaded apps in the history. So I wanted to believe that I'm an early adopter, you know, but I think it's going to be a matter of time that people will start switching, also the older generation. But I want to give the floor to Megumi. When will that happen in your industry where a couple of years ago you were working only with paper? I mean, that's just unbelievable, you know? Megumi, I think you need to speak up a little bit so that everyone hears you.
Yes. So it's a bit far from Pia and Mary mentioned. So because our industry was, or let's say was or has been still old-fashioned. So everything was paper. People think like, you know, still making a phone call is the most effective way, or things like this. So like digitalization is coming, but also in our industry, I found like a new generation, not Gen Z. Gen Z is too early to sell the car because they just get the driver's license. They don't sell the car.
True.
So
They don't start with 12.
No. But those people will say, okay, so if there is a web app or app, something you can sell the car, buy the car instantly without thinking anything, no human interaction also. And then so people are slowly changing their mind. Also, those new people helps our old industry to change completely.
What's the age group of your customers primarily?
Primarily between 25 to 50. But at the same time, we
25
also...
and 50?
Yeah, 50-ish, 55. At the same time, we also seeing like an old generation, let's say 70 years old, so very tech savvy, so they also use our service as well. So they also do everything online. So those people are slowly coming. But I can say they are not the main customer for us right now.
Yeah.
But the customer mind itself is slowly changing. Okay, so we can do not everything, the most of the stuff online, not the paper or making a phone call or go to the shop.
You know, I had a used car. I had a small BMW that I got when I moved to Germany because I'm a Turk. I need a BMW. So what happened was this thing got broken at some point. I had to get it fixed, and I had to bring it to the Werkstatt, like the repair shop. And the guy told me, Efe, he was a very, very nice one. I could charge you thousands of euros, but just go and get a new one. It doesn't make any sense to try to repair this. I mean, like, is this something that, I mean, are customers still interested in keeping these used cars for a long time, or is it, how do you see that trend? Because it's ridiculously expensive because of the staff shortage to get anything fixed, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. And so let's say it still depends on the customer. So some people who love cars, so they want to keep it as it is. But so like a majority people, some people just want to have a car for some purposes. Because I have a kids, I want to bring my kids to the kita and those things. And so people, let's say, and also the changing the car 4 to 5 years. And then of course, some people want to keep the car over 10 years. As much as possible to sell the car. But then, of course, the value itself is going down. And so they change the car. Of course, the new car is coming. And so the duration of maintaining the car is like slowly decreasing.
Okay. I want to go back to Pia for a second. So, as you know, a couple of weeks ago, I even asked Pia to bring an Apple Vision Pro today because they have one in the office. I think it didn't work out this time, but so a couple weeks ago, Apple launched the Apple Vision Pro, like at least selling it to the people in the US. So how do you think, like, especially these VR, like Meta Quest 3, can you actually drive a car with it? Or like, are we all just gonna be sitting in our living rooms and driving our cars in our virtual realities? Or what's gonna happen, you know?
I think we can talk about two different ways how you should experience a car in the future. The one way is, and I pretty believe in that it's very important that a future customer could be able to experience a car in the metaverse or in a virtual space with the VR glasses, also without the VR glasses, because we already have some VRs, but it's not commercial right now. So it would take some more years, like the smartphone, which everybody has now, And I'm pretty sure that in 5 to 10 years, everybody has a VR glasses. But for that moment, it's very important that you can go into the internet, because Metaverse will be the new internet, to be honest, and that you can configure your car, that you can step into your configured car with your avatar, then you can talk to a product genius, as we call it, BMW, a person in the metaverse to talk to about that car. And that you can do a full sales process without going into the dealership. So this could be the one part when we are talking about virtual cars. And the other thing, what you mentioned, we are in a car. We already have one case. It's not with the Apple Vision Pro, it's with another one. But you can drive a car by wearing VR glasses. It's a hybrid one, so you can see yourself. You can drive the real car, but you do not see what's really out the way. You get like a simulated world. So we call it the BMW M mixed reality, where you can really drive a computer game by your own, which is pretty cool, and which is like combining gaming with a product. And I think this could be also something of a high emotional experience for everybody of us. So this is something what I would push forward beside the classic sales process, what I assume will be needed for the future.
Yeah. What I found interesting also, Snapchat, for example, we've talked about Apple Vision Pro, but also there's other companies that provide similar, much more simple versions of these glasses. Snapchat has one, and basically what the vision is, as far as I understood it, is that in comparison to Apple Vision Pro, it's much simpler. But for example, I'm sitting in the train, and I see you, and I like what you're wearing, and I can just use my glass to recognize what that is, and I can just order the same. As it's kind of like customer journeys that we didn't know before, but probably could be replicated also for the automobile industry. So that you see someone posing with their cars, and you're like, oh, okay, what can this modified car do? And you get like kind of enhanced version of humanity. You know what I mean? So how do you see that? Like, is that also
I
the
tell
future?
you, I want to live the next 200 years because I want to see what will happen in the future, because everything you're talking of is a lot of into the future. But I'm pretty sure, and I believe in that this will happen, to be honest. So everything we will do in the future should be like, I call it platform agnostic. So it should work on every kind of mobile device, on a smartphone, on a laptop, even on a VR glasses. So if I want to configure a car or buy or experience any product, whatever I want, it needs to work in those platforms and spaces.
Yeah. Marilyn, we talked about this earlier as we were chatting. Like also in the metaverse, there are several metaverse instances that you can be in. Let's say you played around with BMW in Fortnite, and then can you keep this instance somewhere else? Or like, are these metaverse instances talking to each other? How do you guys, I don't know who's the right person to ask here. Is there a certain level of interconnectivity between the platforms?
I think we will, if we talk about the metaverse, it is a interoperable world where you can go from website to website without logging into with different IDs. That's something you have to do today, and it's really not user-friendly. It's not fun. But you know what? I want to talk about something else. I just want to talk about something else which is really going to be important for the future of commerce, and it has nothing to do with technology. I think community will be one of the most important factors in future to make business. You have to get into existing communities, into communities that are surrounding and defining themselves around interest groups or hobbies or common values. And I think it's getting more and more important for e-commerce sellers and also for retailers to get and to step into these communities. And it's really hard to build up an own community. You can do that via customer loyalty programs. That's really hard to do. You have to have like a roadmap for that and to always entertain the people. But I think you can also enter existing community groups. And I brought you another example on that. We were talking about that before. An extremely interesting project from 4Bro. Does anybody know 4Bro, the brand?
4Bro.
Okay, one. Only one, two, three. Okay, so 4Bro is like blowing my mind. It's so crazy and it's so cool. What do? It's a brand from Lünen, a very small city in Ruhr area in Germany, and a very vibrant entrepreneur who founded it in 2020, 4 years ago only. It's like a lifestyle brand, and they sell iced tea, and they sell potato crisps, and they sell energy drinks, and all of that for a very common, a very small target group, a very niche group called the Bros. They are so they are a Turkish origin youngsters, teenagers, basically, very young target group. And they are the Bros. They call themselves the Bros. That's a community, and they gather in.
I guess
of
I'm
course,
too old. I didn't get an invitation to this.
Yeah, very young target group, as I said, like around 20 or younger. And I mean, people around 15 or 16 or 17 love iced tea. I don't know why. So they build up that community in social media, TikTok, Instagram, like a huge community. And you know, they're making very cool TikTok videos, very cool. They're going on the street talking to people and making fun videos. So they're going viral with their content already. So they're selling drinks and food, but also they asked their community, what else should we have in our assortment? And they were like, we need SIM cards. And I mean, a normal retailer or normal e-commerce sellers would go like, no, I sell drinks, I sell food, I don't sell SIM cards. But they go like, yeah, why not? If that's their need, we're gonna sell SIM cards now. So they're selling SIM cards, potato crisps, and drinks. And they always go like, ask the community, what else do you need as a bro? A bro can be a female or a male too, not
female
only
bros.
males.
Okay.
Yeah, so what else do you need? What do you want? So they asked the community which flavor, which taste should be the next iced tea. And they were like, we don't want usual flavors. We want Bubats. Do you know Bubats? I don't smoke weed, but it's like a common expression in German for weed, actually. So they wanted Bubats iced tea. Yeah. So they had this customer-generated product called Bubats iced tea, and they produce it now. I mean, obviously there's no marijuana in it, but it tastes like a dragon fruit or something. But they are like highly connected to their community, and their community develop new ideas for their content and for their products. And I think this is something we have to closely look at. Also, big brands like Adidas or Nike is doing that already. They're making customer-generated products, and I think this is also something that the metaverse is like. You know, brands should gather around communities and like stick to their needs.
Yeah, I totally want to emphasize this, because this is what I said before. Don't try to pull your brand into the community. Understand the community and talk on eye level. So this is something which is highly important and urgently necessary to get a true contact into a community, or to build your own community, to enable them to understand their needs. And that's why we decided mainly to ask our communities what kind of color they would prefer maybe for the next car launch of a specific car, because we think this could be a nice way to get kind of interaction with them, because we all know Gen Z is more self-explaining, more how do you call that in English?
Expressive.
Self-expressive, maybe self-defining. So they want to tell you how it works.
Yeah.
They do not want to have you to tell them what they have to do. So you have to do it the other way around. And so I just wanted to add what you said, because this is really important.
But
That's
how do you, sorry, Marilyn, go ahead.
That's a big mind shift. I mean, it's hard to do. It's a mindset thing to not like buy products, put it into your store, and then make marketing to sell it. But to listen to communities and to listen to their needs, it's much harder. Very different processes going on. But I think that will be the future because the younger generations, they grew up with, content they could create in social media. They're creating their worlds in Roblox. You can create your own world. Everybody is creating, you know. You can be creative the whole time. You create your own content. So they want to create their own products, of course.
I always give the example of how YouTube was bought by Google back in the day. I think it was like 2006 or so. What YouTube did differently was, at that time, of course, there were a lot of media companies like Time Warner and everything. They weren't interested. Maybe they didn't manage to be the ones that did the purchase at the end. But Google believed in the vision that the consumer is not a couch potato, that they will be the ones that upload the content on YouTube. Because all these media companies were saying, yeah, but how do you generate so much content? Millions of content pieces for all these people. But at that time, no one really saw that coming because the media companies assume that the consumer is a couch potato. Now, you see that the consumer, in this case, also Gen Z, like they're much more engaged than maybe an older target group that is just taking what's being offered. But how do you get that feedback from them?
Can you repeat
How do you get this feedback from the customers?
Sorry.
Do you build an experience?
So, you know, we experienced, we gained some knowledge by implement our own metaverse. So we had 2 one-offs called Joytopia. And we also did a car launch in the metaverse. And we always use those kinds of projects to get a better understanding from the community what they want from us. And what we also do is really learning from all our partners we are working with in gaming, in virtual experience, in 3D applications. So it's not on us to decide, it's on us to listen and to understand. So this is the way how we get feedback from the community and how we get feedback from the ones who knows. And in the end, my best consultants are my 2 sons, 11 and 15 years old.
I have a question in regards of the Generation Z. You said that the generation or Gen Z is not into brands anymore, but rather into passion points, as you call them. Why is that so? And what is the projection of their future brand needs? Do you think that could ever change in a generation, or do you think this will continue into completely something else?
You know, why is that so is a very good question. It is like it is. I don't know why. No, to be honest, I think, as I told you before, this is a generation very self-defined. So they love to express themselves. They don't want us brands to tell them what is right and what is wrong. So they don't believe in advertising anymore. They don't trust us if we're just putting a brand somewhere else. So we need to understand what they like, and we need to meet where they already are in a digital environment. So this is why I said they are not interested in brands anymore, because they don't like ads. They don't like being pushed into something what they are not interested in. So you need to meet them on eye level and need to show them how we can interact together and what they need from us. So it's more about asking them, what can we do for you that you trust us as a brand? And a projection into the future was the second question, right? Good question. I think it's from now on, or it's just started some years ago, it's always important to not try to bring your thinking into a community. It's really about understanding a community. And I think when we're talking about the future, it's really important to keep in discussion with them. So do not disregard what they're interested in. Do not disregard what is their perspective of what we should do. I think it's always good to be honest and to listen and to try to meet their interests. So maybe you want to add something.
All right. We do have further questions already.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Really, really interesting insight so far. I would like to know, actually, Pia, it's a question for you. What is your biggest challenge when it comes to creating content and reaching the right audience?
You mean challenging inside the company or to meet the right content towards the second? Okay. Yeah, we started in 2019 and worked with some gaming and esports teams and really let them the decision what we should do in content. So not me made the decision, what we will post, they made the decision. So we really learned from them what's the right way of communication, and we still do. And I have my 2 sons. No, just kidding. But it's really, it's really important, and that's why I'm saying this. You don't think that you know how it works. I'm too old to know what a 15-year-old guy likes. But it's always good to ask and to learn from the professionals. And, in the past, it was often like, oh, we are BMW, we know what you need. That's not the time anymore, and that's the mind shift you need. And furthermore, it's all digital. If it fails, it's okay, then learn and do it better next time. It's okay. It's all about try and error, and especially in a space which is more future-related, so it's okay.
Thanks a lot. And one more question from this gentleman.
First of all, thank you for the nice panel talk, very insightful. A question again to Pia. I'm sorry. So we are seeing the first starters of having a personalized car, that the data points are being used to create an experience for the user. Do you think in the future, you mentioned something about the next 200 years, there's something like the really personalized car that a person can create their own car from scratch, defined to their needs and how they want it, from the engine to the look, throughout everything. Yeah.
You mean in a physical way, right? Not in a virtual.
Good question, actually.
Yeah, because in a virtual way, yes. Yeah. Easy. In a physical way, that's a good question. We also started talking about that, and we are talking about having small series production. I'm not sure if it could be time ticking. If it could be possible to have a one-on-one individualized car, so maybe we'll be better in 3D printing. I don't know, to be honest. But what could be possible if we do like a community vote, and the community votes that the next car should have that engine, should have that kind of livery, should have that kind of rims, I'm pretty sure that it could be possible to have like a 100 limited edition of the community designed car. I would say yes. A very single individualized, I'm not sure, but maybe, and good advice. So this might be a way for have new future customers maybe.
Fantastic. That was the last question that we are getting. We're delighted to also give you something small for your participation in this panel. Many thanks. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.